Season 3 of Warzone was released on April 27th, 2022, and came with two pretty massive surprises. We haven't checked in with Warzone since the start of Season 2, and a lot has changed since then. This review aims to cover everything we've missed. We come back to the multiplayer games we cover every single season to keep you up to date, so make sure you're subscribed. With Season 3, my descent into madness with Warzone may finally be over. I can't say I was looking forward to jumping back in after Season 2, but I can tell you if Season 3 of Warzone is worth your time. Let's kick this off with some positivity. The Godzilla vs Kong event was actually really fun. Expectations were low, but the mode delivered, having the extra hazards of the monsters threw an interesting spanner into each match, and I hope to see more events like this in the future. Rebirth Island Reinforced was a fantastic map update. The edges of the map were expanded, security became a decent drop spot, and the whole map got a great lighting overhaul once again. I'm hard pressed to find any detriment to this map update, and as someone who almost only plays Rebirth, I'm very thankful that the map got a facelift. Caldera got a new filter, and visibility has improved. I'm still not the biggest fan of the map, but I can appreciate it for what it is. Perks are now lootable, and make looting past your loadout a worthwhile endeavour. Warzone always hit this lull after getting your gear, where if you weren't looking for fights, things would get very boring. It's good to see Raven making changes to keep the pace of the game up. Health has also been knocked up. Now there is a little bit more time for you to react before getting melted by some kind of no recoil assault rifle. This is a good change all around, and I think that the time to kill is in a good place for the most part. The new HUD is also fantastic, allowing you to see everything your teammates are holding. No longer can they lie to you about not having spare plates after a gunfight. Footsteps have been tweaked, hearing enemies is now the rule instead of the exception. This was my biggest complaint with last season, and Raven has made improvements. Finally, cheaters seem to have vanished. We encountered none during our playtime of around 60 levels. Ricochet is doing its job. Overall, a lot of big additions and quality of life changes this season have been for the better. When I do hop on, I'm having a lot more fun than I was in Season 2, but my worry is that all of this is coming too late. Burnout is a very real thing that I'm experiencing with this game. Before moving on to the negatives, I should touch on the overall experience. It is much better than last season. The gameplay is far smoother with fewer bugs. No longer am I constantly crashing in menus or never being able to join my party or having major graphical issues. It only took 6 months, but we got there in the end. And with that, we're on to the bad. The radar jammer is the single worst addition to a BR I think I've seen, especially on Rebirth. This tiny box sticks to walls and jams a huge portion of the map, disabling your ability to see both enemies and teammates. On Me becomes a useless callout, and it's made getting support in a firefight a lot harder. Weapon balance is still ridiculous, but now comes with a clear bias to Vanguard guns. The initial Season 3 guns were fairly balanced, but the new SMG has rocketed up the meta and has a silly challenge to unlock it. With weapon balance in mind, the game continues to get even more bloated. When I'm at the point of outsourcing loadout creation to a website, something has gone very wrong. This is a game where having a viable kit is the difference between life or death, and picking the viable kit is a grind for a needle in a haystack. Overall, Season 3 is a step up. Operation Monarch was a seriously cool event, and the facelift for Rebirth was much needed, but silly additions and more weapon balance bloat bring the game down in a massive way, and for those reasons, we're only raising the gameplay score to a 3 out of 5. Season 3 improves the art direction in a big way. First off, the major graphical bugs I was experiencing throughout Seasons 1 and 2 have all but gone. The game finally has the chance to look as good as it's meant to. Godzilla and Kong looked fantastic, both being huge and imposing with great effects. I can keep heaping praise on this event, and that doesn't stop at the art direction. I like Caldera's new look. The almost greyish filter makes everything sharper and more visible, and provides a fresh atmosphere. Weapon animations are as smooth as ever, and now that they're not featureless blobs, we can appreciate them in all their glory. Finally, Rebirth now has a distinct look and theme. more so than before the facelift. It's looking great and plays a lot better because of it. Overall, Warzone's art direction is shooting up to a 4 out of 5. This game is finally looking as good as it should. There are still a few art direction niggles, but most of it is there. Storytime with Captain Butcher is still going, and at this point I'm just getting a kick out of how ridiculous it all is rather than the actual content of the story. The story for Season 3 is that Godzilla and King Kong show up. That's about it. No beating around the bush. It is as blunt as it is ridiculous, and I love it. That doesn't make it good though. Rebirth is continuing the Perseus storyline, but isn't really doing much with it yet. I'm interested to see where we end up, but I'm not holding my breath. Overall, the narrative is no better or worse than it has been since Warzone Pacific launched, and thus we're keeping the score at a 3 out of 5. It is far more ridiculous, but I for one look forward to the arrival of Cthulhu in Season 4. For our review period, we were seriously impressed with the specs on offer. Again, we'll be glossing over the major settings as we covered them in Season 1, but you are getting a serious amount of customization options and quality of life tweaks. This has always been an area that the game has excelled in. Game content has stayed relatively similar since last season, but Rebirth now has the addition of Plunder, which is another avenue to grind. In our experience, almost all of the major issues we've encountered in the past have gone. Major graphical bugs are no more. The game simply plays more fluidly, and audio actually works. For once, I can keep this section short and sweet. I'm seriously impressed and almost can't believe I'm giving Warzone the full 5 out of 5 for its technical offering. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. The technical offering may be good, but the commitment to this game is still appalling. Let's start with the massive hard drive footprint. 100 gigabytes. I have no words. Battle Pass progression is now fixed, but is still a pretty massive grind. This is the first season I simply haven't bought it. The shop prices are still ridiculously high, and bundles are coming out at a record pace. There are some interesting grabs, like the Snoop Dogg or Godzilla bundles, but this is all just too much to keep up with. The weapon level grind is slightly better, but that's like saying getting stabbed is better than getting shot. In Season 2, I was considering giving up on the grind, and in Season 3, I have. My trusty M13 is all I need. All of these commitment issues have converged into major burnout. I am just tired at this point, and where in the past I would have pushed through the grind, now I've simply given up. Warzone absolutely doesn't respect your time or money, and you shouldn't give either. We're sticking with our minimum score of 1 out of 5. Season 3 of Warzone is a step up, but my concern is that this is all too late, and that burnout is harming this game now that it's finally getting to the point that it should have been with Season 1. Warzone is just barely worth your time, but there are so many caveats to that statement. If you don't plan to take it too seriously, then I recommend it for a fun night of beers with friends, but any attempt to take Warzone seriously at this point will simply destroy any love you have for the game. Maybe a break from the game is what we all need, and when we come back for Season 4, we can put that to the test. But once again, I'm hard pressed to recommend Warzone despite the major improvements. My ending advice is to take a break, and wait for whatever Infinity Ward is cooking up later this year. Your blood pressure will thank you for it.
We are the ones who stand and fight.